Hare Mataji. His Grace Sarva-drik Prabhu has already come. So our humble obeisances to Sarva-drik Prabhu. Sarva-drik Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Such a short notice you have come and to give your lecture today morning. Also, we have heard your lecture. My family member also heard. I have also heard in presence. So today's topic is the external reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And before that, those who have not participated before. So Vishnu Prabhu just introduce in brief. So Vishnu, please write about the introduction of Prabhuji.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we give a hearty welcome to our speaker, His Grace Sarva-drik Prabhu. His Grace Sarva-drik Prabhu was fortunate to join Srila Prabhupada ISKCON in July of 1973 in Portland, Oregon, when he was 20 years old. His Grace Deena Bandhu Prabhu was the temple president at the time and was instrumental in bringing him to the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. In the years since, he has served in many capacities, mostly in Denver ISKCON as Vice President, Head Pujari, Head Cook, New Bhakta Leader, and Congregational Preacher. He and his wife, Sudevi Devi Dasi, moved to Prabhupada Village, North Carolina in 2009. While there, they traveled throughout North Carolina and Virginia for Bhakti-vriksha and prison preaching. In November 2018, they sold their North Carolina farm property and moved permanently to Mayapur, India. His Grace Sarva-drik Prabhu still travels as much as possible to ISKCON temples, Bhakti-vriksha groups, BACE groups, and devotee homes in the Delhi area, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana, and adjoining preaching fields. He is very inspired to see the exceptional young devotees that have come forward to serve Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON and push on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sankirtan mission. He considers it to be a great blessing to serve in this capacity and spend time with younger devotees and encourage them in their service to ISKCON. So once again, we welcome Sarva-drik Prabhu, and without any further delay, I request Prabhuji to continue his lecture. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Let us begin by offering our obeisances to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari He Guru Jnanadadina Bandhu Svanantadata Kurunaika Sindhu Vrindavanasina Hitavatara Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara Nama Shishnamanumati Sachiputra Matra Sarupam Rupam Tasya Vijamurupurim Hatarim Goshtavatin Radha Kundam Girivaram Moho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Guru Krishna Vande Nantad Bhutashvayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka Nityananda Maham Nomi Sarvananda Kuram Param Harinam Kulam Devam Avadavati Sharvamanim Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Ilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Bhavavatu Subhatabhyam Jagannataya Te Namaha Vanchako Patu Vishta Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya
Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So this third chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, is very, very important chapter. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj is elaborating on the fourth verse, I think. The fourth verse? Anyway. And he goes through a progression of describing Lord Chaitanya, his activities, the reason for his appearance, why he appeared, what brought him to this world. And we'll go through and discuss most highlighted, most important points that we find in this chapter. The first thing we should understand, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And there's very wonderful story in this regard. My revered godbrother, His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj, before he came to ISKCON, got one Back to Godhead magazine, and was very attracted to Srila Prabhupada. So he came to ISKCON, and he walked right into Prabhupada's room, and he asked Prabhupada, I want to meet A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So Prabhupada replies to him, why do you want to meet him? So, and Govinda Maharaj replied, because he's a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada replied, well, Lord Chaitanya, he's just a devotee. And Radha Govinda Maharaj, before he was Radha Govinda Maharaj, became a little irritated. No, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada said, no, he's just a devotee. Everyone knows he's just a devotee. So this argument went on, and it became heated. And finally, Radha Govinda Maharaj is shouting at Prabhupada, you be quiet, old man. And he realizes, oh my God, this is Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. And Prabhupada began laughing, said, come with me, come, I want to talk to you. So this was the beginning of this wonderful relationship that His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj has with Srila Prabhupada, such an extraordinary devotee. And the argument was, is Lord Chaitanya the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, or is he a devotee? And the answer is actually he's both. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead who appeared in the form of a devotee to teach us what is devotional service. And there's abundant Shastric reference, Shastric praman, evidence to support this idea. We'll touch on a few verses. First in Bhagavatam, we read Suvarna Varna Himango Varangos Chandanangidi Sanyasa Krichdama Shanta Nishta Shanti Parayana. Now this is not Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Suvarna Varna Himango. And he comes, Suvarna Varna Hemanga. Hemanga is same as Gauranga. And his angas are hema, they're like gold. Suvarna Varna Himango Varangas Chandanangadi. His body is anointed with chandan. Sanyasa Krich. He took sannyas. He's very peaceful, Shanti. Nishta Shanti Parayana. That he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is described in introductory verses to Mahabharata. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we read Krishna Varnam, Krishna Varnam, Krishna Varnam, Aka Krishnam, Sangopangashta Parshadam, Jagai Sankirtana Praya, Nijantihi Somedasa. Krishna Varnam, Srila Prabhupada explains, has two meanings. One, Varnayati, that this person, the incarnation of the Lord in Kali Yuga, comes chanting the two syllables Krishna. And Krishna Varna also means of the category of Krishna, that he's Krishna himself. And he is accompanied by his associates, Sango Pangashtra Parshadam. Krishna showed Shankha Gada Chakra Gada Padma. Yes, Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. And those were his weapons. But Lord Chaitanya's weapons are who? His associates. Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Dhamami Bhakti Shaktikam. Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Thakur. These are Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, and they came not to kill the demons, but to kill the demoniac consciousness, the demoniac mentality of the conditioned souls in this Kali Yuga. But he is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he came to teach this process, Jagyai Sankirtana Praya, Sankirtan Yagya, the process of congregationally singing the holy names of the Lord. Because this simple process gives all spiritual perfection. Because it's not a mundane song. Padma Purana says, Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shudho Nitya Mukto Benatam Nama Namino. That the name of Krishna is directly Krishna himself. No difference between the name and the named. In this world, being relative world, there's a difference between the object and the name. If you want to eat some delicious food, pani puri, can you just say pani puri, pani puri, puri puri, pani pani, rasmalai, 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 malai? Just by the sound of the object, you're able to taste delicious food? Impossible. No, impossible. But when we chant Krishna, Govinda, Yashomati Nandana, Brajabaro Nagara, Gokula Ranjana Karma, when we chant these names of Krishna, the net result is that love of God arises in our heart in due course of time. Because these names that are related to Krishna Leela, carry with them the power to deliver prema. This is not so of those names that refer to the Lord in a generic way, Bhagwan, Ishwar, Maheshwar, Paramatma. These are names of the Lord, but they don't carry the bhava of prema, Yashomati Nandan, the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, Brajabaro Nagara, the most center, the cynosure of all the Brajvasis, Gokula Ranjana, who simply lives to please the Brajvasis, Kana, and they refer to him by nickname, hey Kana, hey Kana. He's Supreme Lord. And the Brajvasis refer to him as Kana. So these names, when congregationally chanted, deliver love of God. And who chants them? Jagya Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. Persons who are sufficiently intelligent, Sumedasa, who have good brain substance, take this process of self-realization, which is the exclusive process for self-realization in this age of Kali. So another beautiful verse is there, written by Srila Jiva Goswami. I copied it here in his Bhagavat Sandarbha. He wrote Sat Sandarbha. Bhagavat Sandarbha is the introductory verse. Is this verse, Krishna Varanam Tisha Krishnam? Then he wrote his own verse to elaborate. He wrote Anta Krishnam Bahir Gauram Vishitang Gadi Vaibhavam Kalo Sankirtana Dhyai Sirkana Dhyai Day Sma Krishnam Chaitam Ashritaha. I take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is outwardly of a fair complexion, but inwardly is Krishna himself. In this age of Kali, he displays his expansions, his angas and upangas, by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So this is a very beautiful prayer that in Kali Yuga, Sham Sundar becomes Gaura Sundar. He's outwardly Gaura, but inwardly Shama, Krishna, with a mood of Srimati Radharani. This is explained, there'll be another chapter that explains this verse, but let us make reference to this verse because it's important to understand this in relationship to this description. In the introductory verse, it is said, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vrikriti Ladini Shaktir Asma Nikatmana Vapi Bhuvi Puradeha Vedam Gatoto Chaitanakyam Prakatamadhanam Tagdayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhava Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Surupam. And he is Krishna Surup. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna Surup. He's not an incarnation of Krishna. Rather, he's directly the Supreme Person, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adi Purush. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He's Govinda, Adi Purush, but with the Radha Bhava Duty, Suvalitam, Nomi Krishna Surupam. He has the duty, the effulgence and beauty and mercy of Srimati Radharani. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came to this world in this incarnation to deliver the process of self-realization, the Yuga Dharma. There's a very nice description later on in the chapter. We'll talk about Yuga Dharma. But this is the initial understanding we should have that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord. In Shastra, Lord is referred to as Tri Yuga. which means he only comes in 3 yugas. The understanding is that the incarnation of the Lord in Kali Yuga is Channa avatar. He is secret avatar. And if we examine Shastra, we find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is indeed the Yuga avatar for this Kali Yuga. He comes in every Yuga. And this is referred to at the name-giving ceremony, Namkarana, of Krishna's Namkarana that was done in a cowshed by Sandipani Muni. No, Gargamuni. Gargamuni did name-giving ceremony.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Then he spoke, Shubta Rakta Tata Pita Edanim Krishnatam Gataha. He said, this boy appears in white incarnation, red incarnation, Shukla Rakta Tata Pita. He comes in golden incarnation also, yellow incarnation. And he's now appeared in this blackish incarnation, Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Akrishnam. He's not golden. He's not blackish. He's Akrishnam. He's golden. Hemanga, Goranga, Gaur Sundar. But he internally is Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord. So we should have this initial understanding. Now, what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give? This is also a beautiful explanation that's given in this chapter. Let me read the translation to this verse. The verse under discussion is Anarpita chirim chirat karunaya vatirna kalo samarpayitum unato jalarasam sabhakti shayam hari purata sundara juti kadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spirituva sachinandana. Translation to this beautiful verse under discussion is, may the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendentally situated in the innermost core of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He is descended in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most elevated mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. This is a very, very important verse, written by Srila Rupa Goswami. Unato jalarasam swabhakti shriyam. Swabhakti shriyam means his own bhakti, his own ecstatic emotional attachment and feeling for God. And consider what is happening here. It's God giving attachment to his own self. And what kind of attachment? The same attachment that Srimati Radharani, the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani has for Krishna. A fraction of that is being distributed. Krishna prema pradayate. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. He's giving love of God. Understanding God is very, very difficult. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving love for God. Most intimate, loving relationship with God, freely distributed for the price of one's faith, for the price of one's acceptance of the process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the fruit of Krishna Nama is Krishna Prema. Dharmajay Sarva Shrishta Nama Sankirtana. Niraparadhe Vaya Prema Dhana. That Prema is the fruit of chanting Krishna's name. And Mahaprabhu has come for this reason to inaugurate Sankirtan, which gives us the result by performing it of Krishna Prema. So Rupa Goswami made this beautiful prayer. He's blessing us that may Chaitanya Mahaprabhu be always be situated in the core of your heart. And he's come in this age to give what no other incarnation has ever given previously. Other incarnations can give liberation, they can give jnana, they can give many things, but nobody came to give prema. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give prema. And he comes, it's described in this chapter, that he comes once in a day of Brahma. In a day of Brahma, millions of years. I think 4,300,000,000 years is a day of Brahma. And then there's a night of Brahma also. So he comes in such a long period of time, we can say, he was just here. About 540 years ago. He was just here. At this place, Sridham Mayapur. Jivanuga Prabhu, myself, I'm very, very fortunate to be living and breathing the air and touching the dust eating food that's grown in this sacred land, where the Supreme Personality of God walked and performed sankirtan and preached and cried in love of God and debated with pundits and joked with his friends. This is sacred land. He came to this place. Once in a day of Brahma, he comes in this avatar. Lord Chaitanya comes in every Kali Yuga. But in this Kali, not in every Kali Yuga does he give prema. This is a very special avatar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this Kali Yuga, he gives prema. In other Kali Yugas, he gives liberation. But in this Kali Yuga, we're very, very fortunate because by his worship, we get prema. By performing Jagyai Sankirtana prayer, just by doing Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan, the result of that is love of God. So it says in the text, servitude, dasya, friendship, sakya, parental affection, vatsalya, and conjugal love, shringa, are the four transcendental mellows, rasas. By the devotees who cherish these four mellows, Lord Krishna is subdued. Absorbed in such transcendental love, Lord Krishna enjoys in Braj with his devoted servants, friends, parents, and conjugal lovers. For a long time, I have not bestowed unalloyed service to me upon the inhabitants of the world. Krishna is speaking. Krishna performed his pastimes in Dwapar Yuga. Then after he left, he's thinking, for a long time, I have not bestowed unalloyed loving service. Because when Krishna was here, he wasn't giving prema. He said, Sarva-dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam. You surrender, rascal. He gave liberation. He didn't give a prema. So he's thinking, for a long time, I have not bestowed unalloyed loving devotional service to me upon the inhabitants of the world. Without such loving attachment, the existence of the material world is useless. Everywhere in the world, people worship me according to scriptural injunctions. But by simply following such regulative principles, one cannot attain the loving sentiments of the devotees in Brajabhumi. Knowing my opulences, the whole world looks upon me with awe and veneration. But devotion made feeble by such reverence does not attract me. Srila Prabhupada wrote in the purport, quote, giving too much attention to understanding the exalted glories of the Lord reduces the chance of one's entering into personal loving affairs with the Lord. To teach the principles of such loving dealings, the Lord decided to appear as Lord Chaitanya. You understand this? It's a very, very important thing. Very important. That devotional service in Vedic Bhakti with awe and reverence, Aiswarja, makes Bhakti feeble. It reduces our loving relationship. It's an obstacle to our loving relationship. It's an obstacle, and in one sense, it's a step on the path also. It's a means, but one has to pass beyond the mood of awe and reverence. For example, the Gopas, we were discussing this morning in class, the Gopas have very intimate relationship with Krishna. They fan Krishna, they take big lotus leaf pad, and they fan Krishna with that pad. They they fix his hair and fix flowers in his hair. They massage him. They prepare and deliver delicious types of food stuff. They have they wrestle with Krishna. They eat with Krishna. They snatch food from Krishna's mouth. He's ready to put laddu in his mouth. One Gopa steals that laddu and puts it in his own mouth. Can you have that kind of relationship with Lord Nishingadev? You put the plate on the altar. Nice Rajbhog offering. The Pujari sits to make the offering. And he said, oh, that looks good, Lord Nishingadev. Let me eat one of those too. And then, can you eat off Lord Nishingadev's plate? Impossible. Never.
No.
Impossible. But in Brajabhumi, the devotees are taking food from Krishna's mouth. They're eating off his plate, and Krishna is eating off the plate of his devotee. This is the intimacy of the spiritual world of Brajabhumi. But that intimacy is not available in the mood of Vaikuntha. Can Hanuman have a wrestling match with Rama? He's the Ramadut. He's in the mood of reverence and servitude, dasya bhav. Love of God, but in dasya bhav. One can't have higher relationship in dasya bhav. It's inconceivable to. You can't walk. Can the devotees of Lord Vishnu walk up, give Lord Vishnu a slap on the back? Hey, Vishnu, how's it going? Come on, let's sit down and eat. Let's sit down and eat lunch together. Isn't it impossible? Because they're with folded hands, they're bowing down and worshiping. That's a wonderful thing. They're residents of Vaikuntha. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this. Unato jala rasam svabhakti shriyam. Highest ecstatic, emotional love of God. And how is he making it available? By Nam Sankirtan. By the simple process. The highest thing becomes available in the lowest age. That's why Kali Yuga is glorified. Blair doshanide rajaneko jasti mahadguna kirtana eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Srimad Bhagavatam says that this age of Kali is characterized by all faulty things. Faults in the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, in relationships, in politics. Faults we see everywhere. This is the age of Kali. But the age of Kali is glorified. Why? Eko hyasti mahadguna. There's one amazing, extraordinary characteristic of the age of Kali, and that is Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Brajet. We become liberated, and Param Brajet, we go back to Godhead just by chanting the holy name. It's the most glorified age. Most glorified age. So on one side, we curse Kali Yuga. Oh, people are so fallen. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagya upaduta, full of lust and greed and anger and cheating and duplicity and envy. We curse the age of Kali. But on the other side, devatas are waiting to take birth in the age of Kali because the process of self-realization is so easy. Just by chanting, singing, dancing, prasadam, sadhu sangha. We go back to Godhead. Such a wonderful thing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given to give. Parama Koruna Pahudi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Sava Avatar Sa Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda. That Lochandas Thakur, whose disappearance day is today, wrote a beautiful, beautiful song glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, Parama Koruna Pahudi Jana. That these two brothers, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, are Parama Koruna, topmost merciful personalities. Nitai Gaura Chandra, Sava Avatar, Sar Shiromani, they're the essence of all avatars because they're giving love of God. They're excusing whatever insufficiency, whatever past sin, whatever obstacle is there in our life. They're excusing that and giving love of God. Sava Avatar, of all avatars, Sar Shiromani, the essence, the crest jewel of all avatars. And Kevala Ananda Kanda, they're giving unalloyed spiritual happiness. Bajo Bajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai, Sujada Vishvasa Kori. Lochandas Thakur is saying, just old brothers, just worship these two brothers, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Don't think, Surida Vishvasa Kori, with great faith, don't think that the result will not come, it will. But Vishaya Charya Seva Sema Jaya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari. One small thing, we have to give up attachment to sense gratification, because that is the obstacle that keeps us in this material world. Bhagavad Gita says, Bogai Swarja Prasaptanam Taya Pratachetasam Vyavasayatma Buddhi Samadho Navadiyate. No samadhi, no spiritual life. If there's bhoga, aiswarja, if we're attached to sense gratification and opulent life. So Lochandas Thakur is saying that give Vishaya Chariya Seva Semajiya. Give up this thing, attachment to sense gratification. And Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari, fill your mouth with the holy name. Dago Orivai Tribhuvane Nai. If you look throughout the whole world, the whole three worlds, you'll not find anyone as merciful as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Even birds and beasts cry and stones melt, hearing the mercy and qualities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. So this they came to give, the highest thing that hasn't been given for a long time. Krishna is saying, I've not bestowed unalloyed loving service to me upon the inhabitants of the world. So let me come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and do that. He thought I told in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva-dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam aham tam sarva papebhyo, that I taught this in Bhagavad Gita, but I didn't give the process by which it's realized. So let me come again and give this wonderful process of Nam Sankirtan. So Lord's plenary portions can establish principles for religion for each age, but no one but the Supreme Lord, the original personality of God, can bestow the kind of loving service performed by the residents of Braj. And we quoted in class today how rare that actually is. This Braja Prem, Raganuga Bhakti, Rasa, to taste Rasa with Krishna, to be Rasik Vaishnava, such a rare thing. So Bhrigu Muni was told by Lord Brahma, Shastavarshi Sahasrani Maya Taptam Tavapura Nanda Gopa Brajastrinam Padarenu Palabdaye. Said, I meditated for 60,000 years and did austerity for 60,000 years, and still I cannot understand the glories of the dust of the lotus feet of Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, Subal, Stoka Krishna, Sridham, the gopis, Vajrastrinam, all the gopikas of Vrindavan. I can't understand. But we see young devotees who don't hardly have a spiritual life. They're talking very high talk about Radha Krishna Jugal, Manjari Baba, Sakhi Baba, talking very Manjari Baba, talking very, very high talk. But we start at the beginning. The beginning is this, Harinam Sankirtan. We want this higher thing. It is our birthright. It is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, but we have to pass through the stages of bhakti to get it. Very important understanding. Just like we gave the example in class, you can read all about medicine. You can read a book on anatomy. That doesn't make you a doctor. So you can read confidential Leela of the Lord. In Geet Govinda, Krishna Karnamrita, Krishna, many books are there. I'm not remembering names right now, but many books of confidential Radha Krishna Leela is there. But just because you read the book, does it put you in that place? You can't understand the book. You can't grasp the meaning of that book unless you become completely free from the desire to enjoy sense gratification in the material world. If you're not past that, you're not past anything. Devotional service is very scientific. Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti Syat, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava. There's a system. There's steps along the way, and you can't jump over one step to the next. One has to become free. Anartha Nivritti, free from all types of unwanted material attachments to come to the next stage. And this is where we struggle in Krishna Bhakti. This stage of Anartha Nivritti. It's the plateau of devotional life. We come in association of devotees. Ado Shraddha, we say, okay, let us go. Let us go to this Bhakti-vriksha group. Let's see what they're talking about. Let us go to the temple. I heard they're doing some kirtan. Sounds interesting. Let us go. Ado Shraddha. Sadhu Sangha. You take up the association of devotees. You hear classes. You read books. Become convinced. Bhajana Kriya. You take up the process. You become initiated. And then what is the next stage? Anartha Nivritti, where we have to become free from lust and greed and anger and fear and malice and all the things that obstruct our progress in spiritual life. The things that keep us in the material world for lifetimes. We have to become free from that. And that is the plateau of devotional life. We go up like, wow, this is so wonderful, wonderful. Now I'm initiated, I'm chanting Jai, nectar, bliss. Oh, lust, anger, fear, envy. We have to pass that plateau before we again start going up nishta. Ruchi, we get a taste. Asakti, we develop preliminary love of God. Bhava, love of God is manifest and full-blown prema in due course of time. There's a process, step by step. You can't jump over the process any more than you can jump from kindergarten to a PhD. Shraddha means kindergarten. PhD means prema. You can't jump over any of the processes. It's scientific. So the process is yoga dharma. In this chapter also, there's some very beautiful quotes about what is yoga dharma. Yoga dharma means what is the process of self-realization in a particular age? What is the dharma for a particular age? And it's stated there, the religious practice for the age of Kali is to broadcast the glories of the holy name. Only for this purpose has the Lord in a yellow color descended as Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya came to teach the process by practicing it himself. Like a teacher in school or college, they're at the chalkboard and they're writing on the board A, B, C. The teacher knows very well what is the alphabet. But to teach, he's writing it on the board. In the same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is engaged in Nam Sankirtan to teach the process of Yoga Dharma, of Nam Sankirtan. And he's also tasting it himself. The Lord Chaitanya and all the associates would do Harinam Sankirtan in front of the Rath Yatra carts in Puri. Lord Chaitanya would jump high in the air and he'd come crashing down. And tears coming out of his eyes so much would wet the entire air. Everyone's body would become wet. The tears of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, singing Krishna Nam and dancing in ecstasy, tasting love of God. How? By chanting God's name, chanting Krishna's name, and having this feeling. Nam namakari bahuda nijya sarva shaktis tattarapita niyamita smarane nakalaha. Itadachi tava kripa bhagavan mama pidu daiva vidishami haja nanurag. He said, your holy name has all the potency of the Lord himself, all the beauty of the Lord, all the power of the Lord, all the mercy of the Lord, all the Nam, Gun, Rup, Parikar, everything is there in Krishna's name. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would taste that in ecstasy of love of God, leading the Sankirtan, bringing Lord Jagannath from the Puri temple to Gundicha. So he practiced it himself. He participated in Harinam Sankirtan himself, and he taught by his example of what is the Yoga Dharma. He wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita, actually he's quoting, I shall personally inaugurate the religion of the age, Nam Sankirtan, a congregational chanting of the holy name. I shall make the world dance in ecstasy, realizing the four mellows of loving devotional service. I shall accept the role of a devotee and I shall teach devotional service by practicing it myself. Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse. To teach the highest principles of spiritual life, the Lord himself appeared as a devotee in the form of Lord Chaitanya. So he's showing by his example and he's tasting himself what is Yoga Dharma. Yoga Dharma means what is the process of self-realization. The text goes on, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the initiator of Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. One who worships him through Sankirtan is fortunate indeed. Such a person is truly intelligent, whereas others who have but a poor fund of knowledge must endure the cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the holy name is the most sublime. One who says that 10 million Ashwamedha sacrifices are equal to the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is undoubtedly an atheist. He is sure to be punished by Yamaraj. This is the 8th Namaparad. To consider pious work, building temples, digging wells, planting trees, feeding people, opening hospitals, These things have no comparison whatsoever to the power and mercy and blessing, sukriti, we get, real sukriti that we get from chanting the holy name. There's a beautiful verse Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports. It says, Gokoti-danam grahane kagasya prayaga gangotika kalpavasa jagyayutam meru suvardadana govindakirte nasamam shatam shai. Very beautiful verse. It means in Gokoti-danam grahane kagasya that if you donate 10 million cows, 1 koti of cows in charity at the eclipse of the sun or the moon, how much punya you get. To give 1 cow, to give donation to buy 1 hoof of 1 cow is great punya. But to speak of 10 million cows in charity on solar or lunar eclipse, we can't conceive of that amount of punya. Prayaga Gangotaka Kalpavasa, to live for 1 kalpa, millions and millions of years, trillions of years at Triveni, the conjunction of Ganga, Saraswati, and Jamuna. Just to go there and take dip once for a few minutes is great punya. What to speak of living there, the benefit you get for living there for 1 kalpa. Can we imagine how much benefit? We can't imagine. Jagyayutam meru suvarna dhana means to give in charity 1 meru mountain, huge, inconceivably large mountain, meru, of solid gold in charity to the Brahmins. To give 10 rupya is great punya. What to speak of a meru mountain of solid gold? Can we calculate the cumulative effect of giving 10 million cows, living at Triveni for 1 kalpa, or giving a meru mountain of solid gold? Is incalculable. But Govindakirte nasamam shatam shai. It doesn't equal 1 fraction of the benefit of chanting Govinda, chant Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Because this chanting of Krishna's name gives us Krishna and delivers us from this material world. Punya, giving in charity, building hospitals and all, distributing clothes, distributing medicine, Netra Yagya. These are all good things. Those wonderful things help society. But it'll never give you love of God. It can't give you love of God. It's impossible. But this thing, this chanting of God's name, the result of that is love of God. This is why Bhagavatam says, Aho bata sapachoto gariyan yat shavagri varta ditamatubhyam te pustapaste juhuvur sashnaraya brahmanotra nama granantiyete. That Bhagavatam is saying, how extraordinary, Aho bata, how extraordinary, how wonderful it is that if the holy name is on the tip of one's tongue, jivagri, that person has done all types of yajna, all types of homa, all types of tapasya, of sacrifice, of holy dips, tirtha yatra. He's done everything, studied shastra, everything. Even if he's born in the family of dog eaters. Even if he's born in the family of dog eaters. This is the power of the holy name, because holy name gives us Krishna, topmost. What's left for such a person who's done everything else? He's done yoga, tapa, homa. He's done all of those things in his last life. What achievement is left for such a person who's chanting the holy name? Prema. Prema is left for him. Highest achievement. So to compare that with the benediction of giving mundane philanthropic work is an offense to the holy name. After all, hospitals are a very good thing. But can a hospital stop death? Even a hospital equipped with the most brilliant doctors, with the most up-to-date technology, can they stop death? The only thing that can stop death is reestablishing a relationship with God. Everyone will need a hospital someday. This is the material world. Hospitals are a good thing. I'm not ragging on hospitals, but it's not the ultimate solution. The ultimate solution is this: Govindakirte nasamam shatam shai. Nasamam, nothing equals, not even a fragment equals the benefit of chanting Krishna's holy name. To say otherwise is namaparad. So this chapter ends with the prayers of Advaita Acharya. It said, Advaita Acharya Goswami is an incarnation of the Lord as a devotee. His loud calling was the cause of Krishna's incarnation. Advaita Acharya, having appeared, he found the world devoid of devotional service to Sri Krishna because people were engrossed in material affairs. Everyone was engaged in material enjoyment, whether sinfully or virtuously. No one was interested in the transcendental service of the Lord, which can give total relief from the repetition of birth and death. Seeing the activities of the world, the Acharya felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for the people's benefit. This is a Vaishnava. Vaishnava's heart bleeds. Naivo duje paradaratya vaitaranyas tadvirya gayana mahamrita magna cheta so cheta to vimukha chetasi indriyarta maya sukhaya baramudvato vibudha. A Vaishnava's heart bleeds. Maya sukhaya baramudvato. The non-devotee carrying this huge burden of sinful life and getting nothing in return, just another birth, useless life. When a devotee sees that, his heart breaks. He says for himself, I'm going to cross Vaitarani river that separates material and spiritual world. I'm going back to Godhead. I don't have any problem, but this thing is my problem, to see other people suffering. This is the mood of Advaita Acharya. He is completely competent to deliver the material world himself. He's also Supreme Lord. But he wanted to pray to bring Lord Chaitanya to give this extraordinary feature of love of God. So right here in Mayapur, right down the road, at Advaita Bhavan, at Shiva Sangan. Shiva Sangan is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva would gather for doing Nam Sankirtan. Nagar Sankirtan, everyone could come, but at Shiva Sangan, the doors were closed. And they do this nocturnal kirtan, singing and dancing all night long with the most confidential associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this Shiva Sangan is what? What does it correspond to in Krishna Lila? Rasa Stali, where Krishna would do ras. So this Sankirtan is not different from Ras Lila, from the spiritual transcendental absolute point of view. So Advaita Acharya has his place, his bhavan. Advaita Bhavan is right there. His home is in Shantipur. But when in Mayapur and participating in the Nam Sankirtan, he would stay at this place, and this is the place where he worshipped Shalagram with Ganga Jal and Tulsi, appealing to the Lord, you please come. Only you can actually deliver this Nam Sankirtan, deliver Yoga Dharma, to deliver these people. And he, reading one prayer from Gautamiya Tantra, he understood what is the process. There it stated, Tulasya Dalamatrena Jalasya Chulukainava, Vikrinite Taratmana Bhaktibhyo Bhaktivatsala. The Lord said, if someone offers me just a palmful of water and one tulsi leaf, I have no wealth in my possession to reciprocate such an offering. Therefore, I give myself. So this verse is quoted in the text. And when Advaita Acharya read this verse, he thought, this is the way to beg the Lord, you please come in this Kali Yuga. You please come to deliver these people. Thinking of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, he constantly offered tulsi buds and water from the Ganges. Therefore, the principal reason of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's descent was this appeal by Advaita Acharya. The Lord, the protector of religion, appears by the desire of his devotee. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj ends the chapter. Thus I have surely determined the meaning of the fourth verse. Lord Gauranga appeared as an incarnation to preach unalloyed love of God. So God himself is coming to teach us, should we not be doing the same thing? And for this, Our acharyas, Srila Bhakti, beginning Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Prabhupada said, Bhaktivinoda, we're all Bhaktivinoda Parivar, the family of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he had this seed idea to introduce Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings to the Western world. And in 1896, same year as Prabhupada's appearance in this world, he sent one book to McGill University in Canada, Life and Precepts of Lord Chaitanya. So this is a desire of our acharyas that appeared in the activity of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who instructed Prabhupada. From their first meeting at Altadanga, Srila Prabhupada's friend, Narendranath Mullik, took Srila Prabhupada to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada didn't want to go. I've seen so many sadhus. He wasn't impressed. But Narendra, his friend, said, no, you must meet this sadhu. So they went to meet Saraswati Thakur at Altadanga, which is now, by the grace of our senior devotees, ISKCON, beautiful ISKCON property, refurbished, with the original staircases and original accoutrements that were present at the time of Srila Prabhupada. What Prabhupada saw when he came and met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So they came and they're offering obeisances on the floor, and they're just getting up from the floor, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says to them, you're educated young men, English speakers, why don't you preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Western world? Prabhupada was flabbergasted. He was shocked. Like, who is this person? And he accepted him on the spot. Here is the person that will distribute the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Saraswati Thakur gave him this mandate, gave him this instruction from their very first meeting, that you distribute this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world. So Prabhupada made it, his whole life was a preparation. From the moment he stepped on Jaladuta and came to New York City with the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the manifestation of these verses we're reading in this fourth chapter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's expression of mercy in Kali Yuga, to distribute the holy name of Krishna. Not to sit in a secluded place doing a lack of nam for one's own personal benefit. That's good for you. But what about the rest of the world? This is our understanding. We are Goshtanandis, not Bhajananandis, sitting in a solitary place for our own personal elevation and liberation. Our ananda is to see the Gosh, the family members increase. This is the example that was shown by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and certainly by our Srila Prabhupada, who encircled the world 13 times, sacrificing his life, his energy, his wealth, his breath, everything, to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So is there any doubt what we should be doing, what ISKCON should be doing as a society? Not just building temples. Temples are there just to get people to participate in Harinam Sankirtan. If we're sitting under a tree, who will care for us? Therefore, we're collecting millions and millions, thousands of lakhs of rupees, crores, thousands of crores of rupees to build big temples all over the world, especially right here in India. Beautiful, amazing temples coming up everywhere. Practically every month, a new temple's open. Wow, brand new ISKCON temple. So many temples have come up. Simply to get people, to convince some fortunate person to pick up a mala and to sit down and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And for that purpose, and that purpose alone, we build big temples. We distributed millions of books. ISKCON's distributed 260 million books. We distribute prasadam. We teach. We do this just to get people, to convince people of the value of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because this is the process of self-realization. There is no other. Not by yoga, not by karma, not by jnana. None of these processes can deliver the goods, can deliver you from this material world. They may elevate you, all well and good, but they cannot deliver you from the material world. They can't give you entrance into Goloka, into Braj Prem, into loving relationship with God. Impossible. This process will give it, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this thing. Unato Jalarasam Swabhakti Shriyam, his own ecstatic emotional experience of love of God, that it comes to us simply by this process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra with other devotees. Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan. Jagya Sankirtana Prayar, Jantihi Sumedasa. So this is the gist of this chapter. It's a very wonderful chapter, about 120 verses, I think, something like that. Read through it sometime. A good way to read Prabhupada's books is just to read through all the translations. And don't get tempted to read the purports. Temptation is, oh, that purport looks very wonderful. Read the translation, get the storyline, and then go back and read the beautiful translations and purports. Srila Prabhupada gives some very wonderful purports, especially Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very personal purports of his own experience, going to different holy places, telling stories of different devotees. His purports in Chaitanya Charitamrita are very personal and wonderful. So read through the translations, get the storyline, get the gist of what it's about, then you can go back. You can read a chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita in half an hour. Then you can go back and study the purports and feel your mind dive deep in this ocean of Shastra that Srila Prabhupada has made available for us. And be happy in Krishna consciousness. Pancha kalpatu bishta kripa sindhubhe vachapatitanam pavinibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Jai Nitai Gaur, Nitai, Nitai Gaur. Any comments or questions?
Yes, please ask. The participant are requested to ask questions, please. Vishnu Babu.
Krishna Babu?
No, Prabhu, nothing from my side, Prabhu. Nothing from my side, yeah.
Shankarayan Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, we always heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, and Prabhupada also said. So theoretically, I'm convinced that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than personality of Godhead. But somewhere in the mind, it still processes that, Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are different, because we see so many Krishna Leelas and different Leelas of Krishna, like killing of Putnas. And so we don't see all these things in the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it sometimes a doubt comes in my mind, that whether Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God himself, Krishna himself. So.
And you should read more Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because we follow Shastra, how to understand something. The Shastra vidyam surja vartate kama karata. Nasa siddhim avapnoti nasukam na param gatim. We understand the thing from Shastra, Shastra vidhi. Shastra is telling us here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In his most merciful incarnation, he gave what Krishna didn't give. He's Krishna giving Krishna. He's Krishna experiencing Krishna. And this is the next verse. Shri Radhaya Mahima Kiddisho Vanayaiva Sadyo Yinadbhuta Madhurima Kiddisho Vamadeya Sokyam Chasya Manunu Bhavata Kiddisham Veti Lobat Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachi Garba Sindhu Harindu. This is the next chapter, I think. Next chapter, I believe, to describe the meaning of this verse. Where Chaitanya has this external reason that we discussed, is exoteric reason. Exoteric means the external reason, the obvious reason. He came to give love of God. And he came to taste it also. This is the esoteric reason, the internal reason. Our Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world to experience what is it about me, Krishna, that is so intoxicating for Srimati Radharani. And what is her experience of that love? And what is the quality of my love He came to test these three things. This is the internal reason for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But externally, that we're discussing today,
Yes.
he came to propagate the sankirtan mission, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord.
Yes.
So he came to give, if you want Krishna, if you're attracted to Krishna Lila, as we should be, how to taste that? Only by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, it's not available. You can approach Krishna in Dwarka, Krishna in Mathura, but not Braj Krishna, Goloka Krishna. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that. And only through him can you taste that.
Prabhuji, my question is like this, that Krishna is accepted as personality of Godhead, not by our four sampradayas, outside also,
Yes.
Yes. So why this has not happened with, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Why he's only accepted in Gaudiya Vaishnav community, that he is a supreme personality of Godhead, not outside of it?
Well, even Krishna isn't, even Krishna is unaccepted in Ramanuja Sampradaya as the original personality of Godhead. They say Narayan is, and they say Krishna is the incarnation of Narayan.
Okay.
Isn't it? They said this is their idea. They ignore the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. What's that? Ete chansakala pumsa krishnastu bhagavan swayam indriyari vyakalam lokam vidayanti yuge yuge. They ignore this verse. In the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, many incarnations are described. Matsya Kurma, Varaha, Nishinga, Parashuram, Ram, Buddha, Kalki. Many avatars are described. Then this verse comes. Ete cha ansa. Of these, previously mentioned, they are Kala and Angsha. But Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the Ramanuja Sampradaya has their own understanding of this verse. They say, no, Krishna is an incarnation of Narayan. Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So don't use the understanding of other Sampradayas as a yardstick to measure Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Use the yardstick of our own understanding of Shastra. Who cares what they think? They're welcome to their interpretation. Let them go to Vaikuntha. Ramanuja Sampradaya, they'll all go to Vaikuntha. They'll get four-armed form, and they can bow down to Lord Vishnu. They can get a body just like Lord Vishnu and live there eternally. All glories. They're great Vaishnavas. They're our brothers. We bow down to them. They're Vaishnavas. But they'll not get Braja Prem. Most intimate relationship. This is the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu alone. So don't measure Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the yardstick of other sampradayas. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have one query. Prabhuji, we have seen the Chaitanya Lila in Chaitanya Bhagavad and Chaitanya Charitamrita. That Chaitanya Prabhu has shown Raganuga Bhakti, the spontaneous attraction for the Lord. But we are practicing Vaidhi Bhakti. So where we can get that transition from Vaidhi Bhakti to Raganuga Bhakti, the spontaneous attraction to the Lord?
That's a very wonderful question, Prabhu. And before I forget, thank you very much for a beautiful gift. It's very useful. Prabhuji gave very beautiful shoulder bag. The one I've been using is not secure. Somebody pickpocketed it, actually. This has a very nice zipper on it. So thank you very much. But in answer to your question, Jiva Goswami, we touched on this in class this morning. Srila Jiva Goswami talks about Ajata Ruchi Raganuga Sadhana. Ajata Ruchi means where Ruchi or love of God, the taste of ecstatic emotional attraction to Krishna has not manifested. Ajata, it's not born. But Raganuga Sadhana. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has given us, actually. We pray every morning, worshipping Tulsi Deva. Eneve Danadara Sakhir Anugatakaro, Seva Adhikaro Diye Guru Nichidasi. And give me Seva Adhikar, give me the Adhikar to worship Radha Krishna. Where? In the Kunjas of Vrindavan. Seva adhikara de koro nija dasi. Make me your dasi. Radha Krishna seva bhavavaya abhilasi. We're praying that service for Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna seva means Madhurya Rasa. We sing every morning, Nikunja Yono Ratikele Siddhai, Yayali Bir Yuktira Pekshaniya. What does that mean? Yuktira Pekshaniya. We sing every morning. What does it mean? Who knows? Prabhus? Mataji? What does it mean? We sing every morning. Know what you're singing in the morning. Otherwise, you're just singing the song. It means that they go because in the brajas of Vrindavan, we say, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, in the kunjas of Vrindavan. What are they doing? Yuktira Pekshaniya. They're making tasteful arrangements, delicious drinks, sweet foods, incense, flower decorations of different colors and fragrances and textures and patterns. They're making tasteful arrangements for serving Radha Krishna in the Nikunja of Vrindavan. This is not Vaidhi Bhakti. This is Raganuga Bhakti. And we sing these songs every morning. But Ajata Ruchi, that love of God is not awakened in our heart. But if we keep doing the sadhana as is prescribed by Srila Prabhupada, Vaidhi Bhakti will graduate, will grow in attraction for Raga. You can't pick it off a tree. From tomorrow, I'm going to practice Raganuga Bhakti. I'm going to have spontaneous affection for the Lord, worshiping Radha Krishna. Can't just decide. It's a gift. It's a blessing. And we become qualified for that blessing by practice. So I'm not trying to discourage. We want that thing.
Yes.
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bhange. We keep that high over our head. We worship that with all due respect. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. So be qualified for Raganuga Bhakti.
Yes, Prabhuji.
But until you're qualified, Ajata Ruchi. Ajata Ruchi Sadhana. Is that helpful to you?
Yes, Prabhuji. I understood, Prabhuji.
Okay.
And Disha Mataji or Kakon, any question? Please ask quickly.
Today I don't have any question, but thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful discourse. It was very, very nice.
Okay, I'm glad you appreciate it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
It means I did my job.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Vishnu Prabhu.
Dhanavad Pranam. So I have a fundamental question. You mentioned that this devotional process is scientific, like how we move from different stages from Shraddha and then Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Ruchi, Nishtha, and all these things. And finally, is last thing is Prema. So, and then you were saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to distribute this Prema, love of Krishna. So I wanted to understand how these two statements, like they work in harmony, like unless you know who is Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and from Bhagavatam in detail, you cannot really get love of Krishna. And if you don't understand Krishna, you cannot love Krishna. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is directly coming to give love of Krishna. So is it something like the holy name will reveal gradually for the person chanting the holy name, the entire knowledge about Krishna, and then gradually you advance until love of Krishna? Is that how we should understand it?
Yes, Prabhu, you answered your own question.
So that means we should also read the Shastra and everything
yes.
Also side by side, or?
Everything comes even without Shastra. Holy name in itself is sufficient for complete perfection in spiritual life. But let me give you an example. Just like if you say, I've been accepted to IIT Roorkee. You're not entered, you're not doing the course of study, You haven't graduated yet, but you've been accepted. So when we say Krishna Prema Pradayate, Lord Chaitanya is giving that. He's accepted that you can receive it, but we have to qualify ourselves also.
I see. Mhm.
You have to go through the course of study. Not like, oh, I've been accepted. Where's my diploma? I got initiated. Where's Prema Ruchi Baba? Where is it? I just got initiated. Where is it? Where's love of Godhead? There's a process, and it takes time. That's why our acharyas tell us. What is it? That you have to be patient. Utsaha nischaya dharyat. You have to be dharya. You have to be patient because it won't happen. Can you snap your fingers? Okay, from tomorrow, goodbye lust, goodbye greed, goodbye envy. I decided no more envy, no more lust, greed. Is it so easy? It's not easy, Prabhu. It's a process and it takes time. But a devotee has understood what more auspicious thing is there for me to do than to accept the process of Krishna Bhakti and gradually, step by step, make progress.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a nice question.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, this 9 stages of bhakti, these stages are step by step, or they go parallelly also? Like once you have full faith, then you go do sadhu sangha, then you do a bhajan kriya, or they go parallelly also?
They can go parallel, and there's also a blending. It's not that I'm practicing. I'm trying to become free. Anartha nivritti, you're not, and I don't take sadhu sangha anymore. I'm just doing anartha nivritti. I don't need sadhu sangha. No, the benefit is simultaneous. You're doing anartha nivritti, but you're also taking sadhu sangha. You're also trying to be nishta, fixed in your devotional service. We accept the principles of all of them, but it's a general chronological description of our advancement in spiritual life, of how we have to cross beyond one stage to another. But it's not that we drop one stage when we come to a higher stage.
Prabhuji, these first 3 steps, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajan Kriya, the gaps are very less, but from Bhajan Kriya to Anant Nivritti to Nishta, it requires a very quantum leap from these steps, Prabhuji.
Yeah, the real quantum leap is from Bhajana Kriya to Nishta. Anartha Nivritti is the plateau. If we make a graph, for example, x-axis, y-axis, time and progress.
Yeah.
You come up, you meet devotees. Wow, these people are so nice. Sadhu Sangha. Faith, we come to the temple by faith. Sadhu Sangha, we come straight up. Bhajana Kriya, we take up the process, we get initiated. It's so wonderful. Jai, nectar, bliss, Haribol, Gulab Jamun, Sunday feast. It's all wonderful. But then they plateau.
Then plateau.
Of lust, greed, anger, envy, fear, lethargy. And then we make progress in that. Then we start going up again. Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. But there's a plateau that we require to pass through that. Otherwise, then we're just cheaters. This is what it means to be a sahajiya. They're talking about Radha Krishna's jugal and love of God, but they have a girlfriend. This is cheating. If you have a girlfriend, okay, be honest, I have a girlfriend. I'm not a strict devotee, but I'm trying to be a better devotee. Okay, we'll understand. No one will criticize you. But if you pretend to be an advanced devotee, when you have some anartha in your life, a major anartha, then this is cheating. I should say no one should criticize you, not that no one will. We do criticize each other, unfortunately. But no one should criticize. That someone's come to bhakti, girlfriend or no girlfriend, cigarette or no cigarette, meat or no meat. You've come to bhakti. How will you make progress? Whoever comes to bhakti is a great soul, and we should simply encourage them and not find fault with them. We shouldn't shy away from teaching them a higher status of living. But we should do so gently with compassion and friendship and love. Correct people out of love, not out of envy, not out of envy. If we treat people like that, people will line up at our doors to join ISKCON. But oftentimes we're very judgmental. They walk through the door of the temple and the first thing out of our mouth is, do you eat onions and garlic? Do you worship devotees? Do you follow 4 rules and regulations? And the guy thinks, well, I don't do it, you know, I do all those things. I guess there's no place here for me, and they leave. But when someone comes, what shall we do? Hello, what's your name? Welcome to our temple. We're so glad you've come. But instead, there's a class of devotee that jumps all over them because they're not eating, because they're eating onions and garlic. It's a small thing. Anything else?
So Hare Krishna Prabhu, one final question I have is like, so many people, they who are neophyte devotees, they say that we already love Krishna and, you know, we love Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all these sentiments, they come with that. So what is the key thing that we use to differentiate between actual love of Krishna and this sentimental love of Krishna?
Vishaya chariya seva semajiya mukhe bolo hari hari. Have you given up sense gratification? Have you given up the bodily conception of life? Arjuna asked Krishna the same question. What is the nature of a transcendentalist? How does he walk? How does he talk? How does he act? And Krishna said, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partamanogatam atmanevat manatushta stita pragyas taruchate. He's given up kama. He's completely free from lust, from the bodily conception of life. Brahma bruta prasanatma nasochati nakankshati samasaveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. The exit point, the taking off point for bhakti is Brahma bhuta, complete detachment from the bodily conception of life. Mad bhaktim labate, my bhakti, Krishna is saying, labate is obtained from this point. Brahma bhuta means there's no identification with the body. Not young or old or tall or short, brown, white, yellow, red, green, purple. No material identification. Nasochati nakankshati, no hankering, no desire to have something, no lamentation to lose something. Prasanatma, always happy, never depressed, never angry, never disturbed. Samasarveshu bhuteshu, you look at every living being with love and appreciation. Mad bhakti, from this stage, then let us talk of love of God. But if you see the person smoking a cigarette or drinking a beer in a pub with his girlfriend, you'll understand that it's all hodgepodge, bogus, what do you say, bakwas. What is your love of God? Love of cigarette, love of sex, love of intoxication. Don't talk love of God. Come to the real stage. But it depends on what they mean. We can say like, I love gulab jamuns. It's not like I kiss them and embrace them. I love gulab jamuns. Or I love to walk in the woods. But when we say love of Krishna, you mean just in a light, in a general way. I love, but are you saying you have prema? If you're saying you have prema, love of God, prema, and your life doesn't reflect that, you're a cheater. Simple.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah. Very nice explanation.
Hey, thank you. Any other service, Jivanuka Prabhu? How can I serve you?
Jivanuka Prabhu, you are muted actually. You are muted, Prabhu. Jivanuka Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in a book, The Black Lotus, it is the biography of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj.
Yes.
So in that page 49 and 50, it's a dream state. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was speaking with Prabhupada, and he was telling Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj that I have done so many things, like I never missed Mangalarti, I have built so many temples, I have done so many works, so many preaching works, so many preaching seva. And Prabhupada again and again telling that, have you given up your sex desire? Have you left your sex desire? So total 2 pages, 49 and 50 in the book Black Lotus, it is written there. And it is written by the Stephen Rosen, the Sattaraj Das, also Prabhupada's disciple. So my question is that till our body, is on the material platform, since desire, the sex desire will remain there, Prabhuji, or it will go away, or we can give up gradually.
Prabhupada tells a story about remember so what was his name, Sudevi? The story was Shah Jahan, not Shah Jahan. I think maybe Shah Jahan. Akbar and
Birbal.
Bilbo, yes, Birbal and Akbar. So Akbar asked Birbal the same question. And how long will I have sex desire? And he said, your whole life. Akbar said, how is it possible? Old man, how is it possible? He said, take note, one day I will call you. So one day, Birbal called Akbar and he said, come and bring your attractive young daughter with you. So they came and they entered the house, entered the room of an old man who was on his bed dying. And as the emperor and his beautiful daughter entered the room, the old man is looking at the beautiful girl. He's on his old deathbed. He's an old man, but he's looking at the girl. Then Akbar said, yes, now I understand. So where does that desire live? That we should understand. This is self-realization. This is mental desire. It has nothing to do with ourself. And when we disassociate ourselves from the activities of our mind, we're free. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, in the morning, beat your mind with sticks. And in the evening, beat your mind with shoes. 100 times beat your mind, rascal mind. All these things happen in our mind. Mind is seeking enjoyment through the senses. To taste, to touch, to smell, to hear, to touch. This is the mind's problem. So if we become jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita, sitoshna sukudukeshu tata manapamanayo. Krishna told Arjuna, if you're jitatmana, if you've conquered your own mind, then prashantasya, become peaceful. Ramananda Roy would massage the naked bodies of the devi dasis and teach them how to dance for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. Beautiful young girls. But his touching the body of these beautiful young girls was like touching wood for him. Absolutely zero physiological or mental reaction to touch the beautiful body of a young girl. Don't try this yourself. But this story is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes, Charitamrita. Yes, yes.
So on one side there's Ramananda Roy, then on the other side is ourselves. This is we pray yuvatinam yata yuni yunam cha yuvato yata manobiramatam tadvan manobiramatam twahi. Make this prayer. It means that young boys are naturally attracted to young girls. And young girls are naturally attracted to young boys. What happens when you put a bunch of young boys and girls together? They flirt. This is what they do, natural thing. So devotee is praying in the same natural way, let my mind be attracted to you. And there's no other solution for the lust problem. When our mind is attracted to Krishna, we give up attraction for this lower thing. But the whole world goes on by this attraction. Whole world is going on this, whether it's 2 insects or 2 cows or 2 horses or 2 devatas. The whole creation is going on based on this principle of pumsa Mita, between Pumsa and Striya, Mitani Bhava. This desire makes the whole world. It's not, they say, love makes the world go round. No, it's not love, it's lust. Lust makes the world go round. So we have to overcome it. Therefore, the institution of marriage. And if one isn't able to be 100% completely without deviation forever and ever strict, then there's concession. That's called marriage. And within the construct of dharma, we give up this desire. Gradually. Most devotees, gradually. But it's dharma. You're in the boat of dharma. If you fall, you're in the boat of dharma. It's not because there's many kinds of sex. There's homosex. There's sex with a child. There's sex with someone else's wife or husband. There's rape. It's all sex. But this is abominable sex. This is sinful. Capital S, capital I, capital N, sin. If you fall with your wife out of lust, this is small s, small I, it's an obstacle. And Prabhupada was approached one time about one of his disciples that was going to see a prostitute. He said, why is he doing that? He has a wife. So seeing a prostitute is adharma. Relationship with your wife is an obstacle to your progress in spiritual life, but it's not the obstacle of major illicit fall down. So we should understand that carefully. And sometimes there's divorce in ISKCON, where one person wants to be very, very strict and the other person wants to enjoy. And this came to Prabhupada's attention too. The wife came to Prabhupada, complaining, my husband went to prostitute, Prabhupada. In his response, you couldn't satisfy him. So we should be level-headed about this thing, not fanatical. Prabhupada said, no illicit sex. So no illicit sex. But if you fall, then get up. Because there's no other shelter. We pray, Bhuma Uskalita Padanam, Bhumireva Balambanam Toyi Jata Paradhanam Tameva Shananam Prabhu. This means that if you're walking on the ground and you trip and you fall, what other shelter do you have but the ground? If you want to walk, you have to walk on the ground. So in the same way, a devotee prays, I'm an offender to you. I make offenses to you constantly. But I have no other shelter but you. So you get up and you walk. In bhakti, there's no prayaschitam except bhakti. In other systems, there's particular atonement, prayaschitam, for different types of sins. In bhakti, the only prayaschitam is bhakti. Pick yourself up and continue the process. And the day will come when you're done. You're done with your affinity for sense gratification, and then you're free. This is the beauty of Grihastha Ashram. And Shankar Sampradaya, the first proposition for spiritual life is give up Grihastha Ashram, take sannyas. Don't talk to me about spiritual life until you take sannyas. Beauty of bhakti is any situation in life. Just hear about Krishnani stita shrutikatam tanavan manobhir. Be happy where you are in life. Be situated where you are and hear about Krishna. And gradually give up attraction for all nonsense things. It makes sense? Okay.
Prabhuji, we pray to Lord for your health. Yes, Prabhuji. And
Thank
please
you.
come time to time, Prabhuji. Thank you so much from our side.
Always
Thank you so
happy
much.
to serve.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Ram, Hare
Yes,
Ram,
Prabhuji.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Gaur.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Vancha kalpataru bhasya kripa sindhi Sarva Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.